Hello and welcome to Brilliant POV. In the complex chess game of the Russia-Ukraine war, China has adroitly shaped its foreign policy approach to align with its broader geopolitical aspirations and understanding of global alliances. China has consistently conveyed several fundamental messages since the onset of hostilities. 1. The Ukraine crisis is a shared responsibility, attributable to both Russia and the West, particularly the United States, due to their persistent disregard of Russia's security fears. 2. It is vital to create a holistic security paradigm that accommodates the interests and concerns of all stakeholders while transcending Western hegemony. 3. The world must transition to a multipolar, pragmatic global system devoid of Cold War ideologies and bloc-centric thinking, wherein non-Western nations assume greater importance. At the heart of China's diplomatic strategy are key tenets such as the indivisibility of security, which calls for the West's acknowledgement that the security of one nation should not be pursued at the expense of others. This concept should underpin a new global security infrastructure. While China, like Europe, seeks a prompt resolution to the Ukraine crisis, it maintains that the conflict persists primarily due to U.S. interference. Furthermore, China differentiates between the situations in Ukraine and Taiwan, emphasizing that the former involves aggression against a sovereign state, whereas the latter is an intrinsic part of China, a fact recognized worldwide. China disapproves of unilateral Western sanctions against Russia, asserting that the U.S. exploits such measures to broaden its influence and geo-economic ambit. Navigating a dual-edged sword. As the Ukraine situation evolves, it is uncertain whether China's international standing has been fortified or compromised. The crisis presents a dual-edged sword, with Beijing carefully assessing and addressing the inherent opportunities and dangers. The risks encompass various aspects. China's close association with Russia may tarnish its global reputation and image in the current politically charged climate, the potential for escalating political and ideological polarization in Southeast and South Asia, the possibility of a more intricate relationship with Russia, and the likelihood that Western economic sanctions in response to the war may hinder the Belt and Road Initiative, as the transport of goods via Russia and Belarus becomes increasingly precarious. Furthermore, the conflict may inadvertently strengthen the NATO alliance, which Beijing and Moscow view as a tool of American expansionism rather than a defense mechanism. Simultaneously, the crisis offers China substantial opportunities. A debilitated Russia might gravitate towards Beijing, assuming the role of a junior partner, which resonates with China's long-standing perspective of the relationship. The war has also elicited extraordinary political, economic, and financial repercussions from Europe and the United States. These reactions provide valuable insights into the capabilities, limitations, and red lines of Western sanctions, granting China a clearer understanding of the West's propensity to wield unconventional means of pressure beyond conventional diplomacy. Such knowledge is crucial for China as it strategizes its response to potential large-scale disputes with the West, such as over Taiwan. Finally, the Ukraine crisis has spurred China to redouble its efforts to extend its influence in Oceania, Central, and South Asia, as the US and EU contend with assertive policies against Russia and internal socio-economic tribulations. China's response to the Russia-Ukraine crisis is a testament to its intricate diplomatic strategy. Unwilling to bear the political, reputational, and economic consequences of a prolonged, high-stakes conflict, Beijing also wishes to prevent Russia's utter collapse, which could lead to a pro-Western regime in Moscow or even the disintegration of the country due to internal political turmoil. Each of these outcomes would negatively impact China's strategic competition with the West. As a result, Beijing is inclined to call for a swift ceasefire, regardless of its conditions. China is likely to continue practicing diplomacy at arm's length, refraining from openly supporting Russia in order to dodge potential Western sanctions. Moreover, Beijing does not regard Russia as indispensable for its economic modernization ambitions, instead looking toward European markets for its future economic and technological growth. Furthermore, China has no interest in having Russia as a formidable, ambitious neighbor wielding superregional influence and harboring nationalistic leaders motivated by historical grievances. Instead, Beijing has historically considered Russia a mid-level player and a situational ally in its worldwide competition against the United States, collaborating on regional security matters like the conflicts in Afghanistan and Syria or border security in Central Asia. China is willing to accept a degree of weakening of Russia due to the war and subsequent Western sanctions, as this would increase Russia's dependence on China and Eastern markets. This scenario would allow Beijing to secure Russia as a resource asset and broaden China's presence in the Russian market across essential industrial and economic sectors. At the same time, Beijing clearly understands Russia's security apprehensions, particularly its discontent with the United States regarding NATO expansion and the encirclement of Russia with military bases, as well as the United States' apparent indifference to Moscow's concerns. The Ukraine crisis has significantly damaged the post-Cold War security structure, dominated by Western allies, and has created opportunities for its restructuring. China finds this development appealing, as its foreign policy efforts have been geared toward promoting a more equitable and inclusive multipolar world order, one in which the United States would lose its global dominance. Unraveling China's geostrategic ambitions. It is essential to recognize that China's stance on the Russia-Ukraine conflict is rooted in its geostrategic rivalry with the United States rather than any particular concern for Ukraine. Consequently, the fate of Ukraine remains a secondary consideration. China's hesitance to participate in anti-Russia sanctions is not due to support for Moscow's military actions in Ukraine, but rather a refusal to submit to U.S. authority, a notion Beijing finds unacceptable. Concurrently, China appears open to playing a role in mediating a ceasefire in Ukraine. However, it seeks to do so as an equal partner alongside the United States and the EU, likely only after reaching a consensus with Washington and Brussels. This intricate web of geopolitical calculations results in China's seemingly ambivalent position on the Russia-Ukraine conflict, marked by cautiously tailored responses and minimal involvement. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.